without a doubt, Facebook and Instagram are the most consistent way to get patients in the door at a low cost that are willing to commit to long-term care plans.
I can outbid everybody, right?
Right.
So that is the power of having the LTV, and this is why I'm so against insurance-based clinics.
When you're first getting started, you might have to spend a lot more on your marketing in order to get the word of mouth and the referral engine kickstarted.
I can tell you guys, you probably already made the worst investment of your life, and it's the biggest investment you made, and that's physical therapy school.
If you need cash flow now, focus on one strategy that has quick turnaround and put every single thing you have into it. Today, we are covering the 10 most frequently asked questions that early stage cash physical therapists ask ChatGPT about how to quickly grow and scale their cash practices so that they can finally go full time and get out of the hospital or outpatient job that is sapping the life out of them. And so there's some really, really good questions in here. So Ben and I were doing a little bit of exploring through all of these. So we're excited to bring some solutions and some clarity to all of you today, where we just share like what is the God's honest truth, no marketing fluff, no shiny objects, just the no BS answers to the things that we know many of you are struggling with. You ready to go, Ben?
Yeah, no, I was interested to look these questions over because it's the same questions I had starting out. And looking at the first one, I'm excited to see how you handle it because it's like the most open-ended question you could ever ask. But I mean, the first one is, how do I market a cash-based physical therapy clinic?
And there's so many ways. That's the God honest truth. There's so many different ways. And every single marketing bro or person out there is going to tell you that there's one way to do it, and they're all full of shit. Every marketing strategy can work. Meta ads, YouTube, Google, referral marketing, content marketing, blog marketing, SEO, like all of these things work. The real key is figuring out which one of these is going to work based off of your resources, your time, and the actual timeline that you need to be successful with. So for many of you, for many people that we've worked with, the hundreds and hundreds of physical therapists that we've helped launch and scale their cash practices, many of them, they need to have success very, very quickly. They are in a job that is draining them. Maybe they quit their job and they need to start making money right now before their spouse loses all faith in them. Then they have to go back to their previous job on their hands and knees, begging for a job they hate back. And so in those situations, the best thing that we've found that works to fill your schedule quickly with people willing to pay $200 plus per visit is through meta ads. And this isn't me being biased because, we've been known as the Facebook ads guys since they called us the Facebook ads boys when we were like 23 years old, years and, 10 years ago. It's because we've tested everything else. We've done YouTube ads for practices. We've done Google ads for practices. We've done SEO agencies. We've done website agencies. We've done everything you can imagine to help practices grow. And Meta, without a doubt, Facebook and Instagram are the most consistent way to get patients in the door at a low cost that are willing to commit to long-term care plans. And so I always recommend people start off there if they need cash flow and patience today. If you don't have any money, well, then you got to go the route that you originally went with, Ben, where it's like, okay, if you need money, you better be out there hustling to build relationships, build connections, and start to get referrals. Because obviously meta ads, you need to have money to spend on those ads. You need to do them right so you're not wasting your money. That's where we come in and help people. But if you don't have money and you also don't really have time, well, then your nights, your weekends, your free time, you better be willing to sacrifice that to make this dream work.
Yep.
Tell them about your start, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, 95% of my leads came from workshops and connections in the community. Now today, the workshops make up less than 2% of where our leads come from. And 50% of that 2% comes from actually workshops I did 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Like connections, like, oh yeah, somebody went to your workshop and there was a patient that they referred me to you, stuff like
You're
that.
just so memorable.
Yeah. Maybe it's maybe better accuracy on that. But yeah, so it's just our marketing strategies has changed too, but our goals have also changed.
Right.
Well, like our goal is scale. You can't scale workshops. It'll help get your schedule full, but if you really want to grow we've got 8 practitioners in Oakland. Workshops aren't going to keep, everybody full, but neither is, like what you just said, Jordan, was right. There's no one strategy. If we just relied on one strategy, we wouldn't be able to keep 8 PTs full, so it's a mix of referrals, Facebook ads, Google ads, website, Google My Business, workshops, word of mouth, getting out in the community, stuff like that. So it's a mix is what it comes down to. But yeah, I think you're spot on that the first year, most of my free time was spent making those connections and those workshops too.
Now, when you start, you have to pick one. You have to pick one, and you have to not be an idiot about it. You have to, if you don't have money for ads and you don't want to do workshops, but you need to get patients now, sure, you can start posting content every single day on Instagram, but it's like, Instagram's going to show your content to the entire world, not necessarily the people that are in your community that need your help. That is a very long-tailed marketing strategy. It's going to take months, if not years, before that is a profitable, consistent source that can give you enough income to live off of. Okay, so that is a long-tailed strategy. Put that to the side. You might think, I need to build a website. Well, even if you build a website, for that website to rank and for the SEO to actually start to work, but to generate enough leads through that website to pay your bills and to live off of, it's going to take months and months, if not years, of not just optimization and refining to get to that point. So again, that's not the right place to start. If you need cash flow now, focus on one strategy that has quick turnaround and put every single thing you have into it, whether that is paid advertising, where you learn from someone like us to do it right so that it gets a return right away, or you go all in on referrals, workshops, and networking. But you can't half-ass either one of those when you first get started. You have to go all in on it. So if you have more time, do the local workshops. Or if you have more resources right now because you have a full-time job, go with the paid ads. But at some point, one of those strategies is going to reach a ceiling where it starts to plateau. And once you have that plateau point where you have consistency, you have profitability, that's when you take the profits from that strategy and reinvest it into another marketing channel and start building your marketing channel resources so that you're not dependent on any one of those things. But as a rule of thumb, you shouldn't add in an additional marketing channel until the one you have is consistently and semi-autonomously generating you at least $10,000 a month. Would you agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's what it really was for workshops for me. And the second one that I added on was collecting Google reviews and ranking for Google My Business and having a website that converts. So that was my second lead gen. But yeah, going back onto it, now that I look back on it, even though I didn't plan on, the $10,000 mark, that's about what it was, the workshops were generating per month for me before I started focusing on other things. So I like that.
Yeah, honestly, this is probably the most ideal marketing plan that you could have when you just start out. Now that you say that, I would say have some sort of website, some sort of clunky website. You don't have to go invest on it. You can just have the minimal viable product, something with your name, your information, who you help, how you help them, and a place to collect information. I would get that up and listed on Google Business Profile right away, because that is a long-tailed strategy that the longer you have it, the more reviews you build up, the more profitable and successful it's going to be for you. Ben, you started with that right away early on, and a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, it's paying massive dividends because you got started right away. So I would agree, start with that, but do not expect it to cover your bills. You're planting a seed. Treat it that way. It's not going to bear fruit for a long time. So I would start there. I would launch meta ads immediately. So you have people coming in, contacting you. You're refining your skills as a business owner where you are doing more selling. You are learning how to communicate your value and convert people. And while you are generating new patients from Facebook ads, you're also spending at least 1 day a week doing the networking. But now you're networking from a place of leverage where you do have money coming in from the ads. So now you're not doing it out of desperation, and your efforts are going to be more successful, and the no's and the rejection aren't going to hit you as hard because you have cash flow coming in from the paid ads. Then while you're doing these two things, you're also making sure that you're collecting reviews and asking referrals from all of your patients to stack up the Google Business Profile and the organic SEO that comes with consistent reviews. I think that is the best marketing plan you could have when you first start out.
I agree. So you got to plant those seeds, but focus on nurturing and going all in on the workshops at the beginning. And
right.
Yeah.
Right. So focus on, like, websites and content aren't going to get you patients today. Focus on the stuff that's going to have the quickest cash flow cycle for you, because the only way to survive is to generate cash flow. That is your lifeline Start with what makes you cash, then reinvest that into other areas to kind of smooth things out as you go. That was a good starter.
Yeah.
All right. So we covered how do I market a cash-based clinic? What's the best marketing plan for a cash-based clinic? We accidentally rolled into that one. Do I need a niche to market my practice effectively? What do you think on that, Ben?
Yes and no. At the end of the day, beggars can't be choosers. Starting out, beggar is what it comes down to. And so you do want to niche down. So I'll talk about that worked well for me. But you don't want to niche down so much that you just like, I'm only going to work with, high school age baseball players.
Right.
And you're in a town of 7,000. How's that going?
Right.
So there's a balance to it as well. So my niche when I started was helping anybody that was a barbell athlete, whether that was CrossFit or they were just going in the gym and they were having knee pain with squats or shoulder pain with bench or low back pain with deadlifts, just really anything workout related was my niche. So I was going around to different gyms and talking about how to bench without shoulder pain, overhead press, how to power clean, squat, deadlift, stuff like that. That was my niche and going
Right.
in. But then what happened is those individuals had friends and a lot of them were runners. So I did not run, but I know the biomechanics behind it and understand it and know that I can help people with it. And so I started helping a decent amount of runners by accident on it. But was I going to, turn them away because no, I only work with barbell athletes or anything like that? No, but then it turned into the next person I hired. I was like, these leads from runners are awesome. And so the next PT I hired, I wanted to make sure that they had a good understanding and were open to working with runners. And so then we started doing running clubs and different like workshops at shoe stores, stuff like that. And so that was a niche that we started going into. It started out with just barbell athletes. Now we help runners. Then we started helping rock climbers. That's something that's big in Oakland too. And so long story short, it kind of just happened where now if you're active, physically active, we help you. So, but if you don't speak to anybody, nobody's going to like actually decide to work with you. So you do have to be able to speak their language. Yeah, you want to be able to speak their language. Yeah, so that's the big thing too, is do work with people that you enjoy working with. That's most important.
Yeah.
And ones that you can speak their language first and foremost. But really our niche is now anybody that's physically active.
So if you're an athlete, work with athletes. If you are, someone who's a little bit more, reserved and not super athletic, well, then maybe you're best suited going and working, I don't know if would be country clubs or supporting more of the geriatric populations and finding your place in there. But it's like, whatever your thing is that you're great at, start with there. If you play pickleball, go to the pickleball courts. If you're a runner, go join the running clubs. If you're a lifter, go join and attend a bunch of different gym classes because you're going to attract who you are. But you don't want to do is niche. I say both. I don't know which one's right, but you don't want to niche yourself right out of business. And a lot of people do that because this book came out a few years ago, right when cash physical therapy and high ticket coaching industry was exploding. And so all the early cash physical therapy coaches were like, you need to niche down because it's like, that's how you grow a high ticket coaching space. That's how you compete in a global market. But on a local market level, there's not enough people in your community in these tiny little segments to have your total addressable market is so small. And so it's really hard to get something going. In the beginning, the most important thing is cash flow. So cast a really wide net, work with anyone that you can. So just active adults, that's a really good place to start. And then as you get cash flow and as you build systems to sustain that consistent cash flow, that's what gives you the leverage to start to choose which pockets you want to start to really narrow in on. And so you grow into the niche that you really want to work with. If your dream is to work with equestrians with pelvic pain, awesome. Start with general orthopedic issues for active adults. Build a profitable model. Hire a PT underneath you to handle the more general ortho stuff. Now you have the time to start to focus on this particular segment that you want to work with because that's what your passion is. But it's not your livelihood and your income isn't dependent on that. You build the business for the stability and then in the stability and the leverage to be able to focus on what gives you the most fulfillment. So it's something you grow into. And I think that's what most people don't realize.
Yeah, I think it's spot on. It's something that can be tough to decide on, but yeah, you're going to also get more fulfillment out of it too. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next question here.
Yeah. The next one is, what's the difference between marketing insurance-based clinic versus a cash-based?
free lemonade versus a paid lemonade stand. Marketing insurance is so much easier just because there's not a sale that needs to be made. It's basically free for everybody. And so this is also kind of a trap because like when you're running paid ads for an insurance-based clinic, you can run like really basic lead form ads for a free consult or a discovery visit. And it's going to generate a ton of really low quality leads, or at least what in the cash pay side of things, we would consider low quality leads. It's like those people don't need to pay anything. And so they can run these really generic ads, generate hundreds of leads, and still convert all of them. And so over in Cash PT, when people they see that and they're first getting into paid advertising, they think they can run the same model and have it work, and it doesn't. And that's why, most agencies fail because they're using the same strategies for insurance-based clinics as they are for cash-based clinics. And that's why they're always letting people down because they don't know the difference between the type of offers we need to attract a high quality lead, nor do they understand the systems that are required to turn that, that interested lead into a believer of cash pay services and actually get them to convert. So,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, and also the thing too is what you're selling is different. You're not selling, hey, work with me because I'm cash based. That's why it blows my mind when people go online and put on their website that they're cash pay. Just like that's not a value adder for people too.
Right.
It's
I want to charge you triple.
Yeah, right. And we're going to charge you triple, and insurance isn't going to cover things potentially. It's not a good way to lead. So you're not going out and shouting from the rooftop that you're cash based. That's not the value adder. What you're doing is your marketing needs to be focused more on an outcome more than anything. But
100%. Yeah, when we're marketing insurance, it can be very general because the problem you're solving is just pain relief. That's all you're solving. When we're marketing cash based, not only do we never want to advertise a free consult or a free discovery visit because those are the worst leads ever. Leave those to the insurance clinics. They have way larger systems usually to be able to handle and follow up with those types of people. When you're cash pay, you need to be advertising a paid visit so that they have skin in the game, that they are already raising their hand, willing to pay some sort of cash dollar amount to see you. And it needs to be extremely specific because if it's general, no one's going to believe that you're a specialist. And if they don't believe you're a specialist, they're not going to be able to be willing to pay more than a copay. And so we got to be very specific when we're advertising, whether it's on runners with, plantar fasciitis, or gym goers with shoulder pain, or golfers with back pain. We want to keep all of our advertising to insanely specific people with very particular problems that only they deal with. That's what's going to get them to be like, oh yeah, I'd pay, $200 to learn about that. Now that, I've been to a generalist, I want to see an expert that understands me. So that's really the only difference, just how specific you're being and what the prices that you're advertising.
Okay. Next question is, how much should we be spending on marketing each month?
I mean, that changes. According to the Delta Doc, about 30% of your total revenue should be getting allocated to your marketing budget.
And that's going to also change too as you grow and scale. So like for us, what we do is it depends on if we're in a growth phase or not. So now that we're at scale, our marketing, because now we have labor costs included with it, the ideal marketing spend that we want to spend now that we've scaled is 10% of our marketing or of our revenue. However, if we're scaling, we can push that up to like the 13, 14, 15% if needed. But we spend around 10%. But again, starting out, you might be able to spend more because you're not having to cover labor costs because it's just right. So
I was way off. Yeah, because you want your total labor cost to be about 45% of revenue. And that means, about 6 to 10%, you want to be able to invest in your marketing, into your marketing. So it changes every single month, and it changes based off the season that you're in. Just, like you were saying, Ben, like when you're first getting started, you might have to spend a lot more on your marketing in order to get the word of mouth and the referral engine kickstarted. And so you might be operating, with a lower profit margin at first while you're building out these acquisition systems. But as you grow and as you find success, it's really dependent on what is the lifetime value of your patients. Your lifetime value is the total amount of revenue that the average patient spends with the business. And if you're trying to maintain a 30% profit margin, Okay. Take a look at what your fulfillment costs are. And that's going to help you find out like how much can you afford to acquire that patient while still maintaining that 30% profit margin. And so the real name of the game isn't like how much can I spend on marketing? It's how well can I retain my patients to maximize their lifetime value so that I can spend as much as humanly possible to profitably acquire each and every patient. Because the goal isn't to minimize how much you're spending on marketing. You want to be able to spend as much as humanly freaking possible. If I could drop $1 million into our ads this month, I would do it in a second. Okay. But all that really matters is what is your customer acquisition cost and what is your patient lifetime value. So as long as you know what your patient lifetime value is and what your fulfillment costs are, and you can keep your acquisition costs beneath that level, then spend as much as you possibly can. We start most people off with $1,500 a month in ads. Does that make sense, Ben? I know that's kind of a tricky.
To give you guys concrete numbers on this, you ideally, a very high value business, your cost per acquisition to LTV or lifetime value ratio is 10x. So the cost per acquisition is how much can you spend, do you need to spend to acquire a new patient? Okay, well, if I acquire this new patient, what are they going to spend? Right? That's your LTV. How much are they going to spend? So for us to keep it really simple numbers, ours is around $2,000 LTV, right? Mm-hmm. We want a 10x return or 10x ratio on there. So what I'm going to do is like, okay, if I know that LTV is 2,000 and I want a 10x return, that means I can spend $200 on acquiring a patient versus if my LTV was only 1,000, I can only spend 100. Yeah. Right, and still have it make sense. So you can see the name of the game is that LTV being the most important. I can outspend our competition. There's nobody in the area that has a higher LTV, which means I can spend more than anybody else to acquire that patient. When it comes to bidding on Facebook and paid advertising and Google ads, I can outbid everybody. Right? So that is the power of having the LTV. And this is why I'm so against insurance-based clinics. You can't control that LTV like you can with the cash-based practice because you're not setting your own rates. Right. That's one of the biggest, if not the biggest equation to LTV is what you charge. Insurance-based, when you go insurance-based, you don't get to set your rates, right? And one of the most important metrics in the entire business world is that LTV to CAC ratio. And when you're insurance-based, you can't control one of those, that LTV. It just doesn't make sense to go in a business model like that.
Right. So to put that in other words, you want to spend as much as you possibly can on marketing, as long as you are being aware and cautious of what your CAC to LTV ratio actually is. If you have a healthy ratio where every dollar you get in, you're getting like $6 to $10 back, well, then treat it like a stock. If you had a stock giving you an 8x return, you would put every single dollar you had into it. Okay. So that's what your marketing budget should be. Okay. Determine what your average patient lifetime value is. And then calculate, okay, if I want to have, a 10x ratio, this is how much I should be able to acquire a customer for. And then you want to choose the strategy that's going to allow you to maximize your ability to spend that much and acquire those patients at that level. So start out at $50 a day with Facebook ads, refine your systems, get it to a minimum of a 5x return on those ads, then scale the heck out of it, and then really focus on reviews and referrals as they're coming in to get the other side of the business marketing pumping, because that's going to bring your average CAC down.
I already know people's hesitancy is like, I don't want to spend that money. You got to look at it as an investment. Yeah. All right. I can tell you guys, you probably already made the worst investment of your life, and it's the biggest investment you made, and that's physical therapy school. That today is my worst investment. That's been the lowest return. It's arguable, but if I was to work for somebody else, paying, I think it's like $150,000 is what it costs to go to PT school nowadays. I think I came out with like $130,000, but people are you're paying $150,000 for schooling, and then you're coming out for an $85,000, $90,000 position. That's like one of the worst investments financially that you can make. Obviously, there's something to be said about enjoying what you do. I'm not going to talk about that, but strictly from a financial situation, you've probably already made the worst financial investment that ever. These ads, if you invest it into ads and do marketing the right way, it's going to have a much better return on. So if you didn't bat an eye at investing in PT school, you should not be batting an eye at spending money on marketing. That's going to generate, ideally, every dollar that you put in, you get 5 back. Right. So just know that me personally, I've already, my worst financial investment ever was physical therapy.
Right.
Paper.
the other side of this, and then we should probably move on, is do not do paid ads and spend $5 a day. It's not going to work. A lot of people, they don't spend enough to make this strategy successful, and then they're like, Facebook ads don't work. Okay, for us, I mean, we're the best in the game at running Facebook ads. Like most of the people out there who are doing agency work or promoting ads, they came through our program and now are ad experts helping other people do it. So the reason a lot of people fail with ads is they start with a low budget. And so we know based off of years and years of data that the average lead cost of someone who's actually going to convert is around $40 to $50 typically in cash physical therapy. Okay. So if every lead costs about $50 and you're only spending $5 a day, well, that means you're only going to get one lead every 10 days. And so you're going to spend $5 a day for a whole month and be like, wow, Facebook ads suck. This doesn't work. I got like 3 leads and only one of them answered the phone. Okay. It's because you're not spending enough. So the key to success in Facebook ads is to spend enough to accelerate our rate of failure so that we can optimize our processes as quickly as possible. Because getting leads is really, really easy. Spend $50 a day. You're going to get 1 to 2 leads every single day. You're going to have 1 to 2 people to talk to every single day to refine our lead nurturing and lead follow-up processes. It's also going to help us refine our call strategy and our scripts to increase our lead to booking rate. Once people are actually showing up, it's going to give us the ability to refine our initial visits and pitch and conversion abilities. And so Facebook ads are really just a medium for accelerating the rate of failure of our business to make the best, most scalable patient experience humanly possible. That's what it's really about. So spend enough for you to get the reps required to turn you into an actual talented business owner. So it's not just for making money. It's like the most valuable teaching tool on the planet if you know how to look at it.
Yeah. Or refine your systems and processes.
Yep. Cool. So, I mean, we crushed through 30 minutes. I think we could easily spend probably like good 3 hours going through all of these. So let's save the rest for next time. Guys, if you got value out of this or have questions on any of the things we talked about here today, we talked about some low-level topics. We talked about some high-level topics. If there's some specific questions you have for Ben and I about running paid ads, about doing workshops, about getting referrals, about getting more prospects to opt into our websites, whatever it is, Ben and I have been doing this for years and years and years and have helped hundreds of physical therapists build the practices of their dreams. So if there's anything we can do to serve you, just drop your comments below. We'd be happy to answer it on the next podcast. Ben, any words of wisdom that you'd like to share before we close out today?
I think it's, just take action.
Take action.